All right. Hey, everybody. TG here. Let's get started. Today we got FOMC and CPI. And what a day. So, CPI came out just a little bit cooler than everybody thought, and the market is thrilled about it. And so, yeah, we got a lot of things moving. So, we'll go over some of this stuff. Hopefully, Jerome Powell doesn't throw any cool or actually cold water on the cold CPI news. So, we got that in just a few hours later today. And I don't know. I think it's gonna be. It seems like it would be pretty challenging to put this genie back in the bottle as far as today goes. So, as I said, we'll get into all that stuff. Let me know if you guys out on the interwebs have any questions, and then if you guys are trying to find more information about me, come over here to simplertrading.com/moxie. All right. So yeah, I mean, wow, big move today. Normally, I don't like to put positions on going into FOMC because who knows what that's going to be like. It's basically just a news event and it goes crazy. But over the last few days, I've been able to guide pretty well as to what the market's been doing or going to do to the Moxie traders. And where I left off was basically on this, coming into yesterday, these, a couple of dips over the beginning of this week, but they all got bought up. That was kind of the first tell. So it got bought up, and really by afternoon of yesterday, like kind of midday yesterday, the fact that we really started to see this surge of price come on the S&P, on the indexes. I mean, the Nasdaq was making new highs before the end of the day. It's like, wow, okay, well, I guess, how can you be bearish on that? And maybe somebody knows something and CPI numbers are known and all that kind of stuff. And so, I just kind of we took a risk and took a gamble and kind of put on several positions and doubled up on some positions, and that really paid off today. So really good solid day for us out there, and it was because of just how the market was looking. And as it turns out, the S&P here basically just flagged sideways into an uptrending hourly 50, and that looked great. Also, check out the Moxie indicator. And you can see ever since we got this move up here, the Moxie indicator has been green every single day. And even though price was sideways, again, the dips got bought up, price was going sideways, the Moxie indicator was looking good. And I thought, well, okay, yesterday was looking pretty solid, so let's just go for it. And this is the other thing, so you can kind of do a top down or bottoms up approach to looking at the market. A top down would be you're looking at the indexes, then you look at certain groups and sectors, and then you start looking at individual stocks to figure out the best ones in there. But you can also flip that around and you can look at all the stocks and start saying, like, well, do these look good or do these not look good? And over the last few days, they were kind of looking a little wishy-washy, and I've been saying, I'm not so sure about this, and breadth wasn't that good, and I just don't have a clear picture. But really, kind of by yesterday, things had started shaping up a bit, and I could see that I wasn't thrilled with breadth. That it was down. Okay, so that means we have room to go up, but we're also very middle of the pack, meaning that we could go lower if we needed to, and so that's where it was at. But really, by the end of the yesterday, we were looking at some things, and they were looking good. So I just said, okay, let's start going in on some of these things because I think the narrative of what's going to be happening. And in fact, if you look at, I think it was Wednesday of last week, June 5th, right there, that we had a pretty big move up in the market. I think it was a bit of a short squeeze, but it was also based on European news and Canadian news that they reduced their interest rates by 25 basis points. And that was the kind of result we got. So I think that was a little bit of foreshadowing of probably what the Fed is going to be doing. Our Jerome Powell and all that stuff are going to be doing probably sooner than later. Everyone's been like, okay, we're going to be cutting this year. Like, when are we going to do it? And I don't know if they're going to do it today, but they might start signaling or they might start talking about it. And the fact that CPI is going down is helping with that story and helping with that narrative. And I think that's why we are seeing, obviously, the reaction that we're seeing today. The other thing that I can kind of point towards is if we come, well, let me get this one. And if we do look at TNX and we look at it through the lens of the Moxie indicator, look here, this last move up, we had price over the weekly 50, but the Moxie indicator is now below zero. So this is on a weekly chart and it can take some time, but if this persists and this actually works out, that's an inverse trampling move. That means price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. Plus, you kind of weave in the whole thing about, well, higher for longer, which I would say it's been higher for longer, but it also hasn't made new highs. And so unless this is really going to start going up and making new highs, I just don't think I just don't think it's going to be going up. So that's another thing that we were able to kind of put together. And I thought, I think we're going to be actually starting to move to the downside. And then if we look at, let's see, the daily and the hourly, we could also see, check this out. There's your Moxie price trigger to the downside, and we have had the hourly 50 below the hourly 200. So that means the trend is down. So down for interest rates is good, and for the market, and you can see here that's, I mean, kerplunk, big move to the downside. And this was even an inverse trampoline move. So we had price up over the hourly 50, but notice that the Moxie indicator was below zero, and it was a downtrending hourly 50. So all this stuff is really starting to line up as far as this, and that's why we took the chance and went in on some positions yesterday, and they are working out in spades today. So very, very happy about that. As I said, we'll see if what Jerome Powell says. Maybe to go look for his tie and certain colors. He does certain things. I think as long as it's not red, I think that's what I've heard is okay. Maybe it was lavender is going to be the color for today. We'll have to see what the internet says about that one. So yeah, and then the other thing that I was looking at is if we look at the IWM, and this was tough because there was no setup until today. Today, hey, everything reversed. Okay, big news. Now everybody's aware of this. But what I was talking about was, I think what I was seeing was a cup with a declining handle right there on the daily chart. And those are some of the strongest. Like when I read How to Trade Stocks or whatever by William O'Neill, like, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that was one of the few things that really stuck with me. Okay, the cup with handle pattern, I know this, but they had the idea about the cup, and they had the ascending handle, they had the flat handle, and they had the declining handle. And they said that the declining handle was the strongest. I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting to pick up on. And so I'm looking at the IWM, and it's got a cup with declining handle. Oh, okay, this is looking interesting. And just by kind of looking at how this behaves, I could see here that yes, price was going down, but it wasn't going down a lot. It wasn't like just rolling over. It was actually very choppy, which told me that this was kind of a tortured pullback. That it wasn't really a whole lot of sellers, and anytime it hit a level, buyers would come in, and so it just kind of kept popping like that. And the Moxie indicator really wasn't looking too bad either. So I figured that at some point this thing was going to go up. And really, if you look at the IWM on the higher time frames, this looks good. This looks really good because you can see, yeah, we had the bear market right there. And then you can see we've gone sideways for quite some time. And you know what? I would say this is now a new higher box that looks like it's just poised to move up. And it's taken some time. And you can see that even on the weekly chart that it's really, taken some time and done its thing. But what if IWM starts to break out and move? That means that there's going to be a lot of other stuff that's going to be popping with it. And that's probably going to be with interest rates coming down. The small caps are going to like it. So big move up on that today. And then another one that I'm looking at, KRE. Again, there wasn't a signal until today because that's when the news came out and that's when the market started to actually reverse. But the thing I was able to point out was you can see here price down and the Moxie indicator was starting to move up. Again, not the clearest of signals, but I've worked with the Moxie indicator for years and I could see, okay, that's something to pay attention to. And I think today is where we're getting our confirmation of that. So let it kind of do its thing. It's still got some more work to do, but I would imagine that the low is in as far as these things. And now we just need to get everything sorted out and see if we can resume the trend to the upside. Oh, brighter side. Yeah. Sorry, you were trying to short the cues. Yeah, you got smoked. Well, I hope. Well, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but if you knew that CPI was coming out and if you knew the FOMC was coming out, then this is probably not a great gamble for you to have taken. Now, if you didn't know, okay, there's a little bit of excuse, but you got to know these things also. So sorry, but it's kind of like bad news either way you go. Yeah, it's tough to short it. It just I wasn't seeing anything short. I didn't want to play anything to the short side. It was just a matter of like, okay, do we go up or do we need to pull back a little bit more? So I wasn't trading anything short. And what I also liked was, and I got faked out a little bit here. I was expecting this pullback right there that we got, but then like right in through here, I wasn't sure because you can see we kind of did a V bottom. Like we came down really hard and just basically recovered. There's your V bottom. And what I wasn't sure is if we come down like this, come up a little bit, and then maybe we need to come back a little bit more and then go up. There was that little spot right there that I wasn't sure about, and I got caught up a little bit. But you know what? We got right back in, and today's a great day. So yeah, very very happy about that. And really, I mean, you look at FNGU, you look at the Nasdaq. I mean, brighter side, I don't know what your exact play was, but honestly, I just if anything, you should have gotten out by the end of the day yesterday because the Nasdaq was making new highs yesterday by the end of today or end of day yesterday, making new highs. It's like don't argue with that. You know, you can be wrong on things, but you gotta be quick about it. You know, you got to know when to get out, and I think that's kind of the important thing to learn from this lesson is hey, you can be wrong. You know, like let's say that you were trying to short it in through here. Hey, go for it. But when you start seeing that, that's when you need to know you got to get out because it's not worth it. Because otherwise, now you're up here and it's like, ugh, that sucks. Oh, you shorted all the way down here. Shorted down here. That's another one. So, brighter side. So we actually took. Gosh, where'd we go? I know we took a short like here, and we got out here, and then I forget what we did. I actually think we went long right there. We sold some puts. I wish I actually went long right there, but I called the bottom perfectly right and through there. And then it just went a little bit further. So we were right on the bottom, just didn't play it directionally. On the reversal back. Okay, yeah, yeah. So you were short there. That's totally fine too. As I said, I got caught up in that area too. I wasn't expecting it to move up like that, and I did take a hedge position. I was short, but I got out right there. I mean, immediately. I just got out. I was like, okay, clearly that's not working. And if you were short here, I mean, gosh, you've been having to deal with that for quite some time, and that's pretty rough. And I know maybe you were thinking, oh, what it's going to do is it's going to come back down to the hourly 50. That's definitely a possibility. But really, making new highs by the end of yesterday, you got to get out. Got to get out. Got to get out. Like it's not working. Okay. You know, because markets don't always like to go down. Going down is a temporary thing. That is one thing my dad always told me. He's like, you know, the short side or the downside is a moment in time. It's temporary, you know. So the markets always they like to go up, and you know why? Especially the indexes. Here's the secret of why the our markets always go up because they take out the names that are underperforming. I forget which ones they dropped, but they brought in CrowdStrike just joined, right? And look at CrowdStrike, it's going up. What was the one? It wasn't Palantir that got. So Palantir missed the S&P twice, but something else got put in its place. They drop the names that are underperforming and they put in the names that are strong, and therefore the index always drifts upward. Yeah. Yeah. So a brighter side, if anything, it's just a lesson of you need to know when you're wrong. It's not bad to be wrong. You just need to contain it and you need to know when, and you're just trying to limit your losses because you can be wrong on the long side too. You just need to know when to limit those losses. Yeah, so guitar. Let's look. I'm sure. Well, let's look at SOXX because SOXL is the same thing. Honestly, I am amazed that this market is going up like this, but the semis are leading the way again with AI and everything. I mean, this has just been super strong. It's really hard to argue with any of this. You can see recently the daily chart pulled back into the daily 21, and there was pretty much a nice flag right here into the hourly 50, and the Moxie indicator was above 0. So yeah, there wasn't anything to the short side. And and even though this is the other thing why I was a little bit like, all right, we got to keep a close eye on this stuff because the VIX is awfully low, and it was setting up in a potential trampoline move. So this is price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above zero. That's a potential trampoline move, and you can see we have a potential elf shoe right here, but it's not working, right? Not holding. And what I could see by the end of day yesterday was if we look at the UVIX, this thing didn't look like it wanted to go up. And that was the other thing that was telling me, like, okay, just don't we don't need to be bearish on this, because you could see by the end of the day yesterday, the UVIX was back below the 15-minute 50, and you could see here that the hourly 8 was below the hourly 21, and it looked to me like this was mostly just a bear flag and it wanted to go lower. Now, of course, that can always change in a couple days, but there's it's just not holding. It's not holding any support, which is good. This is good for the market. And this is kind of the thing I've been guiding. I was like, okay, we're looking around at this. I'm seeing these things. And that was actually part of the reason over the last 2 days, I was selling puts when the market dropped. And part of the reason I did that is because the UVIX had jumped up and drifted lower. And that was the thing that was helping telling me that this market wanted to keep going up. All right. So yeah, guitar has semis. I mean, look, everything is up. Everything is up. So not much else to say. Just everything's up. Yeah. No, granted, it is at the third ATR for the hourly chart, but everything's up. So I don't see an end to this anytime soon, which is good. I'm loving it. We're having a good time. Having a good time with this. So GameStop, huh? Brighter side, Gosh, it's actually back up a little bit. Did you see any of the stories, I guess, and the narratives of Roaring Kitty and $150 million he was down? Like, oh my God, rough. I don't even know, how did he get 300 million in the first place? Because I thought his first time when all this happened, I thought he made 50 million. I thought that was the thing. So where'd the 300 come from? Did he get some sponsors and some special deals that we don't know about? I don't know, but right there, yeah, he just got steamrolled. Uh, you know, we've been talking about this a little bit, and I think it's better to be rich and not famous, because and think about this. This might be kind of the Kathy Woods problem too. Kathy Woods is telling everybody what her positions are and how she's doing it and where she's going, and she is one fish in a very big ocean, and she kind of is putting a target on her back. And I think my understanding here is that when you've got Roaring Kitty is like, hey, let's all, our Wall Street bet army, let's go, let's go, let's go. We can't outnumber the big guys. The game is just not stacked in our favor. And so him broadcasting what he's going to do and everybody else getting there, I think that Citadel and Citibank and whatever and all those other groups, they can swamp us. And so he's playing this bullish thing. And then what do? They do a secondary offering, and then they just sell it, and then they rip it down and they take his money. So, granted, I'm broadcasting here too, and sometimes it feels like somebody is in the room watching what I'm doing, and maybe that's just how it feels. But I like to be a smaller fish that can't. I'm just going to ride the waves. I'm not going to try to be the wave. I'm just going to ride the wave. Yeah, exactly. I know he was so wealthy, but hey, when you've got a following like that and you were in such a big deal, like I get it. It's hard to not want to keep doing it. That's the tough part. Yeah. Oh, but speaking of GameStop, well, it is up a little bit. Dare I say, trampoline move? Price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above zero, trampoline move. I don't know. We'll have to see if this thing can keep going. And then I was looking at AMC. It was coming up on my list. AMC not looking too bad. I'm not going to trade this. Not doing a thing, but it's not looking too bad. You can see here it's actually holding. Looks like it's trying to ride the 21. It's been dipping a little bit, and it's got a bit of an upward trajectory to it. So I don't know. Are these things going to come back and do something? Yeah, maybe. But that's going to be on you guys if you want to play these and trade these. LMND was another one. Pretty crazy. Sam and Taylor were trading this, and they got it. They actually went long before that pop, and then everything popped, and they got it. Now, I don't know what they did after that. Hopefully, they sold it because that was a flash in a pan. It was like the most random move, and they managed to catch it. I can't believe it. Like of all the places to try and figure out a long, and they got it right there. Yeah, pretty incredible. And then it just sold off after that. So again, that's why I'm like, I don't even care about trading these things. I'm not gonna be doing that. But we did have some really really clean setups yesterday, and we've been taking those. For example, LabU was one of them. We actually added to our position yesterday, and that's a nice gap up. So we're basically 10-ish percent up from our entry, and this thing looks like it's got a long runway. And part of the reason why is because if you look at XBI, which LabU is the leverage ETF, look at that weekly chart. Look at that weekly and monthly chart. Hell, we even have a squeeze on the monthly, and we have a squeeze on the weekly. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how long we can ride this one. But boy, um, big hopes. Big hopes. All right, guys. Well, we got Jerome Powell later today. Remember, anything goes. Anything goes. But I will say it seems like it would be challenging to put the genie back in the bottle today. So hopefully, if he just kind of stays dovish and doesn't say anything too radical, the market will just stay up, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, hard to ignore this one, especially with the market closing on its highs and being strong yesterday. That was a good deal. And we've got Moxie price triggers. You can see here we've got the hourly Moxie price trigger there, and we've got a Moxie price trigger on the daily chart. And actually, now that I'm seeing it, if I zoom out just a little bit, look at this, looking kind of familiar right there. There's the Moxie price trigger. There's the Moxie price trigger. So can we set up for the next few months, few weeks? I don't know. It's looking good. It's looking good though. So yeah, happy about it. All right, guys. Well, remember, if you're interested in what I'm doing here, how I'm trading, coming over into the Moxie room, I'm also doing some zero DTE day trading, which has been working out very, very well for us. And yeah, if you want to get into that as well, come over here to simplertrading.com/Moxie, and we'll see you there. All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll check.